Ask Reddit by that lasagna guy. What's the worst case of computer illiteracy you've seen? My mom was trying to move 200 pictures from one folder to another. Her approach was to open one picture, do save as, save it to the other folder, and then delete the original. One by one. When I tried to explain that she could click and drag the whole thing over in 2 seconds, she said that wouldn't be any faster than the way I do it. She would also save pictures she found online by copying them, opening Microsoft Word, pasting it in there, and saving it as a docs file. And she would try to open JPEGs by right-clicking on them, choosing Open With, and selecting Microsoft Word. I recently tried explaining how to select multiple files to a coworker and said click and drag, and she had no idea what that meant. She is only 40. This same person thought turning off the monitor was the same as turning off the computer. Edit to at, this person uses a computer at work every day and has 4 years. The whole family has used emails for years. The other day I had to send one for my dad, and he said something in the line of send both files in one email, so you don't have to pay twice. My mother refused to believe that calling her granddaughter in Ireland, using WhatsApp, over their home Wi-Fi, was not the same as placing an international phone call, and that it would cost an arm and a leg if she did that, and we aren't made out of money, you know. The instructions said to close the door, but it meant the latch on the floppy drive for the Commodore 64. My buddy got up and closed the door to the room. When I was a kid in the mid-90s, my parents signed up for AOL, and when it said you've got mail, I excitedly ran out to the street to check the mailbox. A middle-aged lady got frightened after being told she needs a mouse to operate a computer. This was early 2000s. She's like, WTF, is this Dune magic? How do I get the mouse to communicate with the computer? I was helping someone with a website for their small business. I told them I put an alt tag on some of the photos that would show text when they put their mouse over it, and to try it out. He literally picked up his mouse and placed it on the screen. I fell on the floor and almost pissed myself. My grandmother did something similar, but it was her very first time ever seeing a computer. She was so mad at us kids for laughing. But now she's a pro and has more social media accounts than I do. I was once trying to teach someone how Windows Explorer worked. For whatever reason, they could not grasp the concept of using folders to store documents. I had to get an actual folder and piece of paper out to demonstrate putting paper into the folder before she was able to grasp the concept. They literally made the computer folders look like actual paper folders. I knew someone who once put their credit card in the floppy disk drive to make an online purchase. Haven't heard floppy disks for a while. I work in a call center, and one of my jobs is helping the call center clients with basic computer troubleshooting. It is an interesting task trying to explain to a man who makes more than I do and has been working the same job since longer than I've been alive where and what the start button is. I've taken to referring to it as the Windows logo because I got tired of all the weird looks. And these are people who I know were using PCs when the start button literally had the word start on it. Growing up in the 90s, I remember seeing multiple adults try to yell commands at a computer screen. They didn't understand about standard IO like keyboards and mice because their only concept of computers was from watching Star Trek. Erase all pictures of Ron. I worked at the head office of a major UK company. They hired a woman as a website administrator and, on her first day of training, asked her to click on something. She just stared blankly, and they repeated, "Click on it with the mouse." "The what?" was her reply. They had interviewed her for the job, and it turned out that in 2004 she had somehow never used a computer that had a mouse. I don't think she made it past lunchtime. Surely a freaking website administrator should have basic computer skills. How did she even get the job? I worked for a law firm, and one of the administrators would print the PDF of the case from her email. She would then scan it back to her computer because it downloaded to the documents folder so she could move to the case folder. I told her she could just click the down arrow and download it, then move the file, saving hundreds of sheets of paper. She said that was too complicated. She only lasted a few months before she was fired. Edit. I thought of another one. Lawyers are not smart when it comes to electronics. Same law firm, a lawyer was afraid the cleaning crew was going to steal her laptop. So she took her trash can and shoved it under her desk. Put her laptop in the trash and covered it with paper towels. Of course, the cleaning crew empties her trash. They find the laptop and put it aside in the cleaning crew's supervisor office because they thought it was weird we'd throw a laptop away that looked brand new. So, they didn't understand computers, but they also didn't understand cleaners. This just happened last Friday. I am a new legal secretary in a small law firm where the partners have been in business for 50 years. Part of my job is to print every email that comes in, and of course people always send big fat attachments. Friday at 4:55 I had some emails queued up to print, and since it was already 10 minutes after I was supposed to be gone, I asked the managing partner if he would shut down the computer after it finished printing. He did not know how to shut down a computer. I had a coworker printing out emails and then photocopying them and then putting the photocopy on my desk. She wanted to keep the original. I got to teach her how to forward emails. Took a couple weeks for her to break the habit, but we're good now. My grandfather typed big boobs as his Facebook status like 15 times in a 5-minute span. I think I understand what he was trying to do. To be fair, this may actually work and perhaps even demonstrates some basic comprehension on Facebook algorithms, maybe. When I was a kid, probably 4 or 5 years old, we got our first computer and my mom took out a butter knife to rearrange the keyboard keys to be alphabetical. I told her that the caps were just plastic, and that what she's doing would not accomplish her goal. But she didn't believe me until she rearranged the entire alphabet and hit the A key only for a Q to pop up. She told my dad that she needed a photo of a real keyboard to know where the keys should be sent back to. So he had to print out a picture of one at work to bring it back home for us to use as a guide. Bro, 5-year-old you was smart lol. Sold a computer on Craigslist about 10 years ago. Keyboard, mouse, LCD monitor, and cables. He took it home and said it didn't work. The screen would stay blank when he powered it on. When he brought it back, he was pressing the power button on the LCD monitor, not the computer. Will my laptop still work if I take it upstairs? I did have an Asus laptop about 8 years ago which was great, lasted like a workhorse, was getting on for a decade old itself. It had to be always on and plugged in though. If you unplugged it, it would turn off, and there's a good chance it wouldn't turn on again. We got my grandma a computer so she could get emails with pictures of her grandkids. It had a sleep mode button and have with a cover for the monitor. She diligently would put it to sleep every night and place the cover over it, sincerely thinking it needed rest and the lights out. This is very sweet. I've been working in it for almost 25 years. A few weeks ago I had a user tell me their second monitor wasn't working. I walked over and pressed the power button. Problem solved. It would be a great career if it wasn't for the fucking users. When I get these types of work orders I remind myself how great it is to get paid to get some steps in and not have to use my brain. Spin it into a positive equals. I volunteer as an it-help person in retirement homes. I understand that it is in no way their faults for not understanding computers. They didn't grow up with them. It makes sense that they wouldn't know what to do. It's just become incredibly eye-opening to see how my life is so different from theirs because computers and phones have been my whole life and I just know what to do on them. I get such simple questions from the people in the homes, but when I solve their problem it is as if I solved world hunger in front of them. I'm 60 later this year and have been working in it all my adult life. Started off with a VIC-20 and used BBS in the early 80s. I hope I'll be able to keep up to date with the latest technologies once I reach the retirement home era, but hopefully someone like yourself will be able to teach me the outline of GPTXX then. A user was attempting to connect to the Wi-Fi network by following the documentation. Upon reaching the step requiring credential entry, the instructions said something like enter your username and password in this window, accompanied by a screenshot of the login window. The user contacted the help desk, unable to write anything into the window. Eventually, it was discovered that the user was trying to type their credentials into the screenshot itself. My sister places every file she creates on the desktop. She does not understand folders. She cannot move a window around on the screen. She cannot resize a window except by the minimize and restore buttons in the upper right corner. She does not understand if she is using Google and wants to change to a different search. She does not have to close and reopen Google but can use tabs. Not understanding the basics of files folders is becoming an alarmingly widespread issue among young people, apparently. https://www.theverge.com/22684730/students-file-folder-directory-structure-education-gen-z. Last year there was a new employee with a CS degree who said they didn't know how to use Word and wanted to do everything with Adobe instead. This is at a government agency, so redoing all the systems to accommodate one person was definitely not happening. I'm wondering which Adobe product they wanted to use instead of Ms. Word? InCopy or InDesign probably? I once had someone who thought their Wi-Fi was down because their wireless mouse had run out of battery and needed new ones. Think that's my favorite. I knew someone who got a wireless keyboard. When I mentioned batteries, she confidently proclaimed it doesn't need batteries because it uses Bluetooth. My roommate got a pre-built gaming PC and when setting it up she spent 45 minutes getting frustrated trying to find the HDMI port her monitor plugged into. It had a port cover on it from shipping. It took me 30 seconds to find. She argues with her boyfriend her Discord nickname Boomer is inaccurate. I disagree. 3 times last week my colleague needed tech support because her computer was freezing when she queued up a print. The printer properties pop up. The one that locks the program until you confirm or cancel the print, popped up in the background of her screen instead of the foreground. The solution was to minimize the window in front of it and then confirm or cancel the print. This happened 3 times and despite showing her how easy it is to fix, she kept having to call me to fix it for her. Beans in the computer. So, this is food. This is beans.